Imagine finding like a secret wellness manifesto. You open the file, bracing yourself for the usual onslaught of modern health advice.
Yeah.
A 20-step morning routine or a microscopic breakdown of macronutrients.
Oh, yeah, or a list of synthetic supplements that reads like a graduate-level chemistry textbook.
Right, exactly. You expect a puzzle, but instead you're met with just one single paragraph. And then you realize that paragraph is repeated again and again.
Over and over.
Yeah, dozens of times, filling page after page with the exact same sequence of words. So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a deeply bizarre, almost hypnotic document titled Grapefruit for Heart Health.
It is definitely bizarre.
It really is. Our mission today is to deconstruct what is either a massive formatting glitch or a profoundly intentional core philosophy of human wellness.
I mean, when you first handed me this source material, I genuinely thought the file was corrupted.
Oh, I totally did too.
Right. It just defies every expectation we have of health literature today. We're so conditioned to believe that if a biological solution isn't incredibly complicated, it just, it simply cannot work.
Yeah, it has to be some secret formula.
Exactly. Yet this document strips away all the chapters, all the footnotes, and all the jargon.
Yeah.
It really functions entirely as a mantra. The author is taking a rhetorical hammer to a very specific sequence of ideas.
Which is whole foods, seasonality, and consistency.
That's it. Those three things.
I've got to say, I was completely thrown off by it at first. The text just repeats. It says, discover how nutrient-rich whole foods support wellness through vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fiber.
And then it immediately hits the next point.
Yeah. It says seasonal produce helps support energy, immunity, heart health, and healthy living. And then the final line, consistent, nutritious eating creates lasting benefits.
Over and over.
It just does not stop. But, once you get past the sheer absurdity of the repetition, you are forced to actually sit with those words.
You really are.
Because you can't skim ahead to the advanced stuff, right? There is no advanced stuff.
No, there isn't.
The text is absolutely demanding that we, meaning you, the listener, stop looking for the next shiny, complicated health hack and actually interrogate the basics.
And that is the absolute brilliance of the format. We so often skip the foundational building blocks of biology to chase, the marginal gains of a trendy new supplement.
Oh, 100%.
The author uses this repetitive structure to literally trap us in the fundamentals. Before we can even look at the specific outcomes, like the heart health mentioned in the title, the text builds this very clear premise right out of the gate.
Right. It states that nutrient-rich whole foods support wellness.
Yes, and it identifies 4 specific mechanisms for this: vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fiber.
So let's actually unpack those mechanisms, because there is a massive difference between just reading those 4 words and understanding how they actually operate together in the body.
Oh, a huge difference.
The text specifically champions whole foods as the delivery system. It doesn't tell us to go buy a vitamin C pill, a mineral powder, and a standalone fiber supplement.
Right, it insists on the integrated package.
Exactly. Think about it like buying a fully assembled car. You don't just buy a steering wheel, a transmission, and a set of tires, dump them in your driveway, and expect them to drive you to work.
That would be a terrible commute.
Right. You need the whole machine engineered to work in tandem.
And the biological synergy of a whole food is exactly like that assembled car. So if we take the grapefruit from the title as our working example, it contains naturally occurring sugars, fructose.
Okay.
If you were to just extract that sugar and consume it by itself, it's like dropping a car engine on the highway without any brakes.
So it just goes out of control.
Exactly. It spikes your blood sugar, it overwhelms your liver, and triggers this massive insulin crash. But the whole food package includes the fiber.
Ah, so the fiber is the braking system.
Precisely. It physically slows down the digestive process in your gut, which regulates the absorption of that sugar into your bloodstream. So the text is pointing out that wellness isn't just about having the right ingredients,
Right.
It's about the structural matrix in which those ingredients are actually delivered.
Okay, that makes the inclusion of the word antioxidants much more interesting in the context of the title, right? Grapefruit for heart health.
Yeah.
Because we hear the word antioxidant thrown around in marketing all the time, usually on bottles of incredibly expensive juice.
Oh, everywhere.
But how does that specific component actually execute the promise of heart health in a real biological way?
Well, to understand the mechanism there, we kind of have to look at what threatens the cardiovascular system in the first place, which is oxidative stress.
Okay, walk me through that.
So as our bodies process oxygen and generate energy, we naturally produce byproducts called free radicals. These are unstable molecules that can cause cellular damage.
Okay, so they're like exhaust from an engine.
That's a great way to put it. And in the context of the heart, these free radicals can actually oxidize LDL cholesterol in your bloodstream.
Wait, really? So it's not just the presence of cholesterol that builds up plaque, it's what happens to that cholesterol when it gets damaged.
Precisely. Oxidized LDL cholesterol is what actually penetrates the lining of your arteries. That's what triggers the inflammatory response that leads to plaque buildup.
Wow, okay.
And this is where the whole food matrix becomes so vital. The antioxidants in a whole food, like the flavonoids found abundantly in the bitter pith and flesh of a grapefruit.
Which nobody likes to eat.
Right, but they are so important. Those are molecules that can safely donate an electron to those unstable free radicals, basically neutralizing them before they can oxidize the cholesterol.
That is fascinating.
It really is. The text presents this not as some vague feel-good concept, but as an engineered biological reality. You input the whole foods containing the fiber to manage the sugar and the antioxidants to neutralize the free radicals, and the output is the preservation of heart health.
I love that. It is a totally mechanistic view of biology, but it's wrapped in this very naturalistic, almost folksy philosophy.
Yeah, it really is.
Which, okay, that brings up a tension in the text that completely baffled me at first.
What's up?
So the title explicitly shouts grapefruit for heart health. The grapefruit is the absolute star of the headline.
Right.
But then if you look at the actual body of the repeated text, the word grapefruit is never mentioned again. Not once.
That's true, yeah.
It instantly pivots to a universal abstract rule about nutrient-rich whole foods. So why bait us with one incredibly specific fruit just to spend the rest of the document talking in broad universal terms?
Well, I think the author is navigating the difficulty of communicating abstract nutritional science. Nutrient-rich whole foods is a very clinical, sterile phrase. It doesn't activate your senses at all.
No, it sounds like a textbook.
Exactly, but a grapefruit does. You can smell the citrus oils, you can imagine the sharp bitterness, you can visualize the bright ruby red flesh.
Okay, I see. It makes it real.
Yeah, the grapefruit serves as the ultimate tangible case study for the core thesis. It is the physical avatar for those four pillars of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fiber.
So by anchoring the title with a specific evocative fruit, the author pulls the abstract science down from the clouds and places it right on your kitchen counter.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
But having the perfect assembled car on your driveway is one thing. Having the right fuel at the right time is another.
Yeah, Philip.
Because the text doesn't just leave us at the grocery store door and tell us to load up our carts with whole foods. It introduces a very strict, highly specific strategy for choosing them.
And a timeline for what they protect.
Right. It explicitly links seasonal produce to supporting a cascading list of outcomes: energy, immunity, heart health, and healthy living.
This is a really deliberate pivot from the what to the when. The text isn't satisfied with you simply eating a grapefruit. It introduces seasonality as the crucial catalyst that unlocks those specific physical systems.
Okay, I have to challenge this logic for a second. I want to make sure we aren't just romanticizing the idea of a farmer's market here.
Fair enough.
If a whole food already has the structural matrix of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fiber, why does the text single out seasonal produce to support our energy and immunity?
That's a good question.
I mean, a greenhouse tomato grown in the dead of winter still has vitamin C, right? It still has fiber. It's not nutritionally void.
That is a very fair pushback.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right that a greenhouse tomato won't kill you. It possesses baseline nutritional value, like it will prevent scurvy.
Right.
But this text is not arguing for baseline survival. It is arguing for the peak optimization of human wellness. And the biological science behind seasonality is really fascinating.
Okay, let's hear it.
So plant grown outdoors in its natural corresponding season is subjected to environmental stressors. Think shifting weather, seasonal insects, things like that.
Sure.
To survive, the plant produces defense compounds. And these are often the exact phytonutrients and antioxidants we rely on for our own health.
Oh.
Yeah. A tomato coddled in a temperature-controlled greenhouse doesn't face those stressors, so it doesn't produce the same dense profile of protective compounds.
Wait, really? So a plant's environmental stress actually translates into our biological benefit?
Yes, exactly. Additionally, there is the simple biology of degradation. Seasonal produce is typically harvested closer to peak ripeness and consumed shortly after.
Whereas out-of-season stuff is shipped from halfway across the world.
Right. When you eat something wildly out of season, it has often been picked prematurely, treated to delay ripening, and shipped thousands of miles.
And I'm guessing that hurts the nutrient profile.
Significantly.
Yeah.
Many vital nutrients, particularly water-soluble vitamins like vitamin C and the B-complex vitamins, degrade rapidly after harvest.
Okay, so the text implies that aligning our diet with the seasons is the specific trigger for energy and immunity because you're consuming the food when its nutrient density is at its absolute maximum,
You're getting the best possible version of that food.
which totally reframes how we look at the specific outcomes the text lists. It groups energy, immunity, and heart health together.
It does.
If we map that out chronologically, energy is how we feel today by metabolizing those nutrients efficiently.
Right.
Immunity is how our cells fend off illness next week or next month. And heart health, tying back to the title, is our long-term survival, keeping those arteries clear of oxidized cholesterol over decades.
I love how you broke that down. The text is illustrating that our immediate feeling of vitality and our ultimate longevity are not isolated systems.
They're all connected.
They're interconnected benefits derived from the exact same action. Furthermore, eating seasonally inherently forces dietary diversity.
Oh, because you have to change what you eat based on the calendar.
Exactly. Think about the human gut microbiome. The bacteria in our digestive tract thrive on a rotating variety of plant fibers.
Okay.
By eating what is in season, berries in the summer, root vegetables in the winter, you are systematically rotating the types of fiber you ingest.
So you're feeding different microbial populations.
Yes, which directly dictates your immune response and your daily energy levels.
That makes total sense. Think about your last trip through the produce aisle, right? To the listener, did you actually look at what was natively in season, or did you just grab strawberries in December and squash in July out of sheer automated habit?
Most of us just grab what we're used to.
Yeah, this document is pushing back hard against that kind of grocery store convenience. But that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle.
The how.
Right. We've established the tangible, what, the whole foods, represented by the grapefruit. We've established the biological when, the seasonal strategy that optimizes those nutrients. But the final sentence of this repeated mantra delivers the how.
Consistent nutritious eating creates lasting benefits.
Yeah.
The text insists upon this over and over and over again.
Consistent, nutritious eating. I mean, it's the simplest sentence in the document, but it carries the absolute heaviest burden.
Oh, without a doubt. And this is where we have to finally confront the deeply bizarre structure of the source text itself.
The endless repetition.
Right. Why did the author format this document as a single paragraph repeated endlessly? Because consistency is the single hardest psychological hurdle in human health.
It really is.
You cannot fundamentally alter your long-term heart health from a single grapefruit, no matter how many antioxidants it has. You cannot secure your immunity from 1 week of seasonal eating.
Wow, okay. So the repetition of the text is a literary mirror of the biological habit it is demanding from us.
Exactly. Reading this document forces you to experience the reality of the work involved. You read the first paragraph, and you understand the mechanics intellectually.
Right,
You read the 5th iteration, and the dopamine starts to wear off. You get a little bored.
You start skimming.
And then you read the 20th iteration, and you realize the sheer unglamorous grind required to actually achieve what the text is promising.
That is so true.
We live in a culture dominated by the wellness industry, which is essentially an economy of dopamine spikes. We're sold 30-day detoxes, weekend cleanses, radical dietary overhauls.
Because those things feel like immediate action. They feel like a sprint we can win.
But true cellular biology operates on a much longer, quieter timeline. Your red blood cells, for instance, have a lifespan of about 120 days.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah.
Huh?
So you literally cannot rebuild your cellular health over a weekend retreat. You have to consistently supply those biological building blocks, the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fiber, day in and day out.
So that as your body slowly turns over its cells, the new ones are constructed with optimized materials.
Exactly. The repetitive format of the document does not let you escape that reality.
It's like we can map our earlier analogy of compound interest right onto this.
Mhm.
If you make a single deposit of $50 into an investment account, let's call that one seasonal whole food meal, that doesn't make you wealthy.
Not at all.
Just like one healthy choice doesn't create the lasting benefits the text promises. It's the relentless, boring consistency of that daily deposit year after year that actually builds wealth.
It's a grind.
Yeah. The text is forcing us to acknowledge that health is not an event you attend. It is a mundane practice you repeat.
It completely strips away all of our modern excuses. We complain that nutrition is too complicated, and the text replies that it is simply whole foods and seasonality.
Right.
We complain that we lack the secret formula, and the text replies that the only formula is boring, relentless repetition. It places the responsibility squarely on the microscopic choices we make every single day.
So true. All right, let's pull all these threads together. We started with a document that looked like a broken record, a single short paragraph endlessly looping the idea of grapefruit for heart health.
Right.
But beneath that bizarre formatting, we uncovered a profoundly rigorous, biologically sound blueprint for human health. First, it demands we utilize nutrient-rich whole foods, using the grapefruit as our tangible anchor to understand how fiber chemically regulates sugar, while antioxidants neutralize the free radicals that threaten our cardiovascular system.
Beautifully summarized.
Thanks. Second, it demands we align those whole foods with seasonal rhythms, harvesting plant defense compounds at their peak to optimize our immediate energy and our midterm immunity. And third, it demands we repeat the process with absolute unwavering consistency to forge lasting cellular-level benefits.
It is truly a masterclass in stripping away the noise. But there is a subtle friction buried deep within the rules of this text that I think is incredibly profound.
Ooh!
Yeah, I want to leave you, the listener, with this final paradox to mull over long after we sign off. The text tells us that we must be rigorously consistent in our nutritious eating to see lasting benefits.
Okay.
Psychologically, consistency implies a rock-solid, unchanging, highly predictable daily routine. But simultaneously, the text tells us we must rely on seasonal produce.
Which changes.
Right. By its very biological definition, it is constantly in a state of flux. Summer berries give way to autumn squash, which gives way to winter root vegetables.
So you can't eat the same thing every day?
Exactly. So the ultimate question the text leaves us with is this. How do you build a perfectly consistent daily habit out of ingredients that are inherently, relentlessly shifting?
Man, that is the ultimate puzzle. You have to be deeply rigid in your commitment to the habit, but completely fluid and adaptable in your execution of it. That is a brilliant tension. I want you to take that paradox with you into your kitchen today as you walk through your grocery store this week and as you navigate your own daily routines. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive, and we will catch you on the next one.